Human Rights Watch is a well-known rights advocacy group. It issued this statement. Israeli air attacks in Gaza investigated by Human Rights Watch have been targeting apparent civilian structures and killing civilians in violation of the laws of war. Israel should end unlawful attacks that do not target military objectives and may be intended as collective punishment or broadly to destroy civilian property. Deliberate or reckless attacks violating the laws of war are war crimes. That sounds pretty definitive until you investigate HRW a little closer. In July 2009, the Wall Street Journal reported a delegation from Human Rights Watch was recently in Saudi Arabia to investigate the mistreatment of women under Saudi law, to campaign for the rights of homosexuals subject to death penalty in Saudi Arabia, to protest the lack of religious freedom in Saudi Kingdom, to issue a report on Saudi political prisoners. No, 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 and no. The delegation arrived to raise money from wealthy Saudis by highlighting HRW's demonization of Israel. This so-called human rights group was so proud of their anti-Israeli bent that they were willing to go to Saudi Arabia and raise money on it. Yet, the media pays attention when they accuse Israel of targeting non-military installations. They claim Israel is targeting apparent civilian structures and killing civilians in violation of laws of war. They even accuse Israel of war crimes. But Israel only targets houses containing weapons, map rooms, and command and control centers. If Israel cannot hit such houses, then it cannot fight back and would have no way to stop the ongoing missile onslaught from Hamas. The right to self-defense is an inherent human right, and any organization that denies that right should never call itself a watchdog for human rights.
Hamas, while we try to avoid Palestinian civilian dead, Hamas wants Palestinian civilian dead. The more the better, so he can give you telegenic fodder. So this is the cruelest, most grotesque war that I've ever seen. I mean, not only does Hamas target civilians, ours, and hides behind their civilians, theirs, it actually wants to pile up as many civilian deaths as possible.
The biggest irony of all, the protestations of Obama himself in his speech to children in Northern Ireland about peace, when he said, "Those who choose a path of peace, I promise you that the United States of America will support you every step of the way. We will be the wind at your back." Now I ask you, is this person going for the Hypocrite of the Century award? Because we have to call things by their right names. And the reality is that by any serious examination, this man is a war criminal. He has just announced his decision to supply arms to the Syrian opposition, including the jihadists, fueling the destabilisation of that region and continuing to undermine secularism and knock back conditions for women. This is the man who is in essence stalling the Geneva peace talks by trying to broker enhanced leverage for the Syrian opposition by giving them arms, and to hell with the thousands more who lose their lives, or the tens of thousands more who will be displaced as this war goes on. This is the man who has facilitated a 200% increase in the use of drones, which have killed thousands of people, including hundreds of children. Of course, I said nothing about the Northern Ireland peace process, a process which everybody supports, but is not one that gives you a licence to do whatever you like anywhere else around the globe. There isn't much peace in Iraq, where 26 people lost their lives yesterday. There isn't much peace in Afghanistan. There isn't much peace in Pakistan, and there certainly isn't much peace in Syria. And the side I'm on in Syria is the one, and what I agree with is the statement by Oxfam, where Oxfam said sending arms to the Syrian opposition won't create a level playing field. Instead, it further risks fueling an arms free-for-all, where the victims are the civilians of Syria.
because Hamas told them to be there.